second.
Give it a second.
And we are live.
Catholic Answers Live Super Show. I'm Sly Kelly, your host. It's where we do the show before the show on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we talk to really interesting people about really interesting things. World Cup fans in the U.S. are sightseeing at Buc-ee's and Bass Pro Shops. That's the headline from the New York Times yesterday. Melinda Delkick did the story, and it's a pretty good story for the New York Times, but it's a fascinating story we thought we'd talk about. And who better to talk with than our guest today, Edgar.
Hey.
Edgar Lujano, assistant to the host here at Catholic Answers, and Thomas Graff, also known as
Thomas the TikTok agent?
Thank you, Thomas. That's what I wanted to use.
Assistant to no one?
I wanted
Master of my own destiny?
You are. You're the chief of your
Of social media.
Yeah.
Of my domain.
Are you a czar, or what title do you have?
Chris has given me that title several
Czar.
times.
Czar.
Yeah,
I
he
like
does
the
say
title.
Czar. I do, in fact, report to a director, but that's neither here
What
nor
if you
there.
make a mistake? What if you put something up and it's wrong?
I'll let you know when it happens.
Do you get? It's never happened. You've never made a mistake.
Oh, it's been a long.
Do you get chewed out?
time.
Does somebody drag you in and go, Thomas?
I've had one or two of those moments, and
Really?
they were really cool about it, which means I haven't tested the waters far enough yet.
Maybe
I
you
think.
have,
I
Thomas.
haven't-
Maybe they're just really
I
cool.
have not
No,
pushed.
the reason I asked you is social media. You should be permitted to have some leeway because
Yes.
you do have to kind of push the envelope a little bit. I don't know that's a cliche term, but
No, it's
I
true.
don't actually know what push the envelope means. Like I hate to use words that I don't know what they mean.
Why would you push an envelope?
It's a
Why
very-
would you push an envelope?
It's a very silly saying because, in my experience, envelopes aren't that heavy. Maybe whoever coined it found them to be. I'd like to meet that person. In any case, you're right. I do appreciate the latitude that I'm given on social media, which is why I'm announcing that my next big project will be Catholic Answers Goes to Buc-ee's and meets all the
I
Europeans.
love it. Do we have Buc-ee's out
I
here?
love that idea
do.
of a pilgrimage.
I don't know how far west Buc-ee's goes. One time I looked up the closest Waffle House. This is years ago. On the air, I did this. It was in Phoenix. It might be closer
wow.
now.
I had
On
no clue.
Sean Alexander's recent trip to the United States, he checked off some of the classic American pastimes from his bucket list. Catch a baseball game at Fenway Park in Boston. See live music in New York. Visit the Alamo and try barbecue in Texas. But he also had an unusual goal. Alexander wanted to visit Bass Pro Shops in every state he passed through. It's just unbelievable, said Alexander, 38, from Edinburgh. Edinburgh? Edinburgh. I don't know how to say it.
That's as close as I can get.
It's like a theme park and a museum all wrapped into, a big retail store. He is an avid fisherman, he said, but it was about much more than that. There was a model humpback whale on the roof of a location in
Yes!
Foxborough, Mass. that he compared to the size of a whale that we have in one of our biggest museums in the UK. Your museums aren't even as good as our Bass Pro Shops, UK. Yeah, so what do you guys think of this? Have you heard, this is going around about how Europeans in particular, but also Japanese, and I think it's mostly European and Japanese that have really become big hits on the internets, talking about how great America is.
This has been my favorite story developing over the last 2 weeks, let's say, on social media. And my personal social media feeds, not the Catholic Answers ones, are basically nothing but this right now. Is every story about some Euro or some Japanese tourist coming to America and just having their minds blown at normal things that we know are kind of fun and quintessentially American, but we didn't know just how impoverished these poor European people actually were.
They
to the
don't have
point
Buc-ee's.
That they didn't have Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
To the point that someone tasted ranch dressing for the first time and couldn't believe how good it was.
Wait, how in the modern world can there be a person who's never tasted ranch dressing?
They live in Europe, as it turns out.
This is the saddest
They don't have
thing I've ever
ice
heard.
in their water. What are you talking
This
about?
is this is what I'm talking about. They're learning all about America. We're learning all about Europe at the same time. And what we're learning is, hey, guess what? America's a lot cooler than you guys thought it was.
America has a pretty awesome culture. I will
Yes.
say that. By the way,
okay, let me ask you this, though. Is it America has a pretty awesome culture, or the Midwest and South are more amazing than the world has been led to believe? Because I see a lot of these stories, and I feel like people are like, I thought when I came to the American South, it was going to be, like all violence and meanness and I don't know.
Buildings burning down and cops beating up people and all sorts of stuff like that, right?
Like they're still doing the Edmund Pettus Bridge down there, but I feel like I feel like Americans lie about America by portraying it in our own American movies in a way that is not as appealing as the place actually is. I don't feel like it's their fault that they didn't know. I feel like it's our fault that they didn't.
It's certainly not their fault.
It's Europeans have, whenever they think of the United States, I would say in general, they think of 3 locations. They think of New York City, they think of California, and it's mainly just the coast or LA or San Francisco, and the third is Texas.
No, the Germans, Florida, man. Those Germans love
Florida?
Florida. They love some
4.
Florida. Yeah.
Stand corrected,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Three states and 1
degree
city.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they probably match each of those places to an archetypal unpleasant American,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So you think of Hollywood, you think of LA, you think of the glitzy celebrity who has time for no one. You think of New York, you think, I'm walking here. You think of someone who's totally mean to you for no reason. You think of the Deep South.
You know why those are stereotypes?
Because those people are actually living there.
All right,
because,
go ahead.
Because
Go
behind
on.
every stereotype is a truth.
And then Texas, what's the stereotype
and then
of Texas?
in
Everybody's
Texas,
shooting each other.
It's the people who shoot each other, and
Yeah.
they're hick rednecks, and they're all fat, right?
Right.
And then Florida, I
Everything's bigger
don't
than
even know.
Texas.
Florida is just
A Florida man.
Florida
Florida
man.
man.
The Florida man.
Florida
the,
man.
the crazy Florida man.
Big
Yeah.
Florida man. So now that we've made everyone mad from all of those 4 places, now we could say that, like, yeah, I think there's something to what you're saying in that there is a lot more to America than just those 4 dominant cultural exports and their respective stereotypes. But also in those places are just ordinary, normal people and fun things as well. So I saw a video today of a little Norwegian blonde kid trying In-N-Out for the first time and having his mind blown.
You should not let Norwegians
Now that-
near that stuff. They've been eating like fish,
I know.
pickled fish for their whole life.
You should have seen
And
this kid's face.
He's gonna leave Norway now. He's never gonna be happy at home. He's gonna have to come back here.
I already like this idea enough, man. You don't have to sell it
One
to me
of
more.
my favorite experiences of being at In-N-Out, I remember it was just a random In-N-Out somewhere down here. I was sitting next to the window, and Lena and I were eating, and I had my tray of animal-style fries, and I kid you not, there was this Asian family who I think were tourists, were staring at us like we were at part of the zoo, staring at us, looking at our food and pointing at it like, what in the world is that?
Look what they're eating. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I will say this. I think you go to France, for example. I've never actually been to Paris, but and a lot of people tell me this. We always hear the French are so rude, but they're not rude. They're super nice. And they are. The French are really, they're very friendly. They're kind of sardonic. They're sweet. They like that you made an effort. If you give it a try, you say au revoir, and they go, like, because, you said, but they're not being mean about it. I think that the mass media world. Hi, Siobhan. Everybody wave to Siobhan. It's more important that we wave to her than we do the show. Nice to see you. Come on in sometime, Siobhan. The mass media world, it does tend to portray the worst of us. It
Yes.
does tend to stereotype us in the worst possible way. So I don't think this is just a fallen. Like if you go to Europe, you find out, man. Like I've always heard. European, socialist, left wing, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. You go there and it's like people are enjoying the outdoors. People enjoy being in the square together on a Friday evening. They can carry their beer around the square, so that it's a pleasant, and families are all together, young and
right.
So there's so much that's just wonderful about Europe, but we only get, and I think this is CNN's fault. I think this is the Wall Street Journal's fault. I think it's Hollywood's fault.
Yeah, someone who was a German tourist who was being interviewed by CNN for this very story basically came right out and said that. He didn't call anyone out by name, but he said, like, this is how we normally see America portrayed, is in a very negative light. And we're all coming here and we're finding out that it's actually way better than that. He said that straight up.
I mean, the fact that there's a German tourist who went to a Waffle House at 1 a.m. and was utterly shocked at how cheap, good the food was and how friendly the staff was.
Yeah.
Kind of surprising. And there
Because
was no
Waffle
fight.
House is one of the most awesome things in the world.
I've never actually been to Waffle House, by the way.
Well, this is why I see the sadness in your eyes. And but it'll change once you've gone to Waffle House.
Which, by the way, there's a Buc-ee's in Arizona.
So I got to go to Arizona for Waffle House. Arizona. What's wrong with California? Can we just that's a topic for another time.
Those mountains.
Why?
That's all it
we
is.
have good stuff. We have mountains. We have In-N-Out. All the rest of the good stuff is in the States,
Somewhere else.
far from
I'm right
us.
here, Si.
Oh, and then
We have
Thomas
coast.
as well.
We have water.
Let me ask you this question though: is there something to be said here for the fact that American low culture is more attractive than American high culture? That we at the low end of things, we are awesome. You know, like we gave the world rock and roll music. We gave the world hamburgers. I know there's a city called Hamburg, but we gave the world hamburgers.
Let's be honest.
You know, we gave the world pizza. That's an American food, pizza.
Americanized.
Yeah, I mean,
Speaking of Americanized pizza,
but like Buc-ee's, we could do. I don't think the rest of the world could do a thing like Buc-ee's.
No.
Like so American low culture is better than American high culture. I think that we should embrace that as this is our contribution to the world. It's not always a contribution. Sometimes it's terrible, but
I'm not going to go so far as to say it's better, but it is criminally underrepresented and overlooked by people like myself who refer to the flyover states. So I'm part of the problem. But I would agree with you. I don't want to go so far as to say that it's better because, you know, high culture I think would include a lot of our cultural exports, and say what you will about, you know, Hollywood now, but in the last century or so, we produced some of the greatest,
like
some of the
Harold
greatest
Lloyd
pieces of art of all time.
Yeah, right.
So I wouldn't go that far, but you're definitely hitting on a true point that there is so much more about America, about small towns, about different archetypes of people throughout all the different regions of the world that just don't get their share of play.
No.
these
well,
days.
I mean, one of these posts, it was one of the German guys he went floating down, tubing down a river in Tennessee. It's like it's just a simple pleasure that all Americans have experienced, or for the most part have experienced. It's a beautiful thing. The other thing is one of my favorite posts by Freddie the German was he had a picture of Taco Bell and he called it the Holy Land, and that's like all right, it's everyday America that.
Yeah.
Just kind of
Is that low culture? Is
Taco Bell low culture? Wait,
Absolutely.
Is that a serious question?
Let's ask the Mexican for a second.
Wait, look at this.
great American-inspired food.
Shellback Bo, you're not missing out on anything by not going to In-N-Out. Five Guys makes a far better burger. I think you might be missing the point.
For five times the price. That's where the five comes from.
No, but I think the point is, look, even if Five Guys is better, that is a fully American contribution to the world. What's the thing called when they smash a smash burger?
Smash
like
burger,
it's the same basic thing we're talking about. Shellback Bo.
Also, the argument over which burger is better is a uniquely contribution discourse. You know,
That's right.
Americans imagining how to argue. What if burger is better
Well,
than
the
burger?
other argument that we have amongst each other is who has the best barbecue.
Yep.
And the fact that here we are, like Japanese. There's a video of a Japanese gentleman being taken to a Texas style barbecue place, and they kind of surround him and they're giving him all this stuff, and he gets one of the dino bones, like the beef ribs.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my gosh, so big. He's just like staring at it, and then trying all the different sides. It's like, welcome to America, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let me go back to the story a little bit because I did want to read it's not a great story. No, I got it right here. No, I don't have it right here. You're right. Go back to my phone. Sorry.
That's what I'm here
Thomas,
for.
the TikTok engine. You are good at social media. Okay, so the itineraries may include the more traditional Statue of Liberty or the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but as millions of Americans follow along on social media, buoyed by the videos romanticizing daily life in their towns, the soccer tourists are also marveling over everything in one southern gas station chain, Buc-ee's, as well as combing through grocery store shelves and picking up Italian heroes at the local deli. Here's the thing. I've been coming to America since I was a kid, but we're visiting places that I've never been, said Sammy Bell from Herefordshire, England. Herefordshire, I don't know how to say it. Who's
Herefordshire.
I'm so
That's
glad
good.
you're here. Whose trip included stops to Dallas, Fort Worth. By the way, really, you went to both Dallas and Fort Worth? That is pretty good for you.
Hey, that's a long drive for Europeans.
And Tampa, Florida. She regarded not only the stadiums as highlights, because we got good stadiums, but also the wildlife. The lizards she saw in Florida, she said, were the animals we'd see in a zoo in England. Well, I mean, we feel the same way when we go over there. Like
The dinosaurs that are just roaming around next to you.
Yeah, like my wife in Germany is watching a bird, and the bird goes cuckoo, cuckoo. And she's like, "An actual cuckoo bird!" Like, that's an actual cuckoo bird. Like, I didn't have to go to the zoo to see that. So, I mean, that part goes both ways. But now I forget the point that I was going to make. You guys make a point.
My point from that is
Yes.
that Europeans often forget like how massive America is.
Well, that's
compared-
true.
Yeah.
I don't think they
compared to their
know how
countries.
massive America
But
is.
that drives the point home, right? That they haven't even experienced a sliver of the
We haven't.
whole wildlife. We haven't either, right?
right.
But we at least know that like we can travel to 4 different places in our country and see 4 entirely different ecosystems and biomes. And meanwhile, they're getting this diversity of life just driving across the American South, right? Just driving from Texas to Florida.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's pretty astounding.
But if you just drive from Texas to Florida, you meet a lot of nice people along the way.
Exactly.
And that's another thing that people are finding out is that if you see someone with a Southern accent in an American movie, that person is gonna cause trouble for somebody. Like, what's going on, boy? What you doing? Or, like, there's gonna
Unless
be
it's
something going.
Tommy Lee
It's
Jones
the stereotype. right?
Whereas
Yeah.
if you actually meet a person in the South with a Southern accent, the very high likelihood is that's a lovely person. Like they make really nice people in a lot of states in the United States. And I told you about this when I just came back. Now, this is not South, this is North, but in Wyoming, like I had the great privilege of spending 5 days in 2 really small towns in Wyoming. And there's just a goodness, a kindness, a friendliness, a sociability, an acceptance that I don't think that people expect. They expect deliverance or something. You know, that's what the South is in movies. Is
Right.
like. So I don't know. I
They
guess,
expect Foghorn Leghorn or Benoit Blanc at best, right? That's what they expect.
both
And-
of whom I like very
Of
much.
course.
I must say,
and
those
that's
are
why
good.
that's why I said at best. At worst, they expect Jimmy Swaggart, right? They expect to be
just
Bible beaten over the head.
phonies, kind of.
Like, we don't take kindly to strangers around these
But
parts.
they don't like strangers, but they do like strangers. Like one
Right.
person said, I think about 14 people have invited me to their house. Like
Yep.
that's what you actually find.
Yep.
And
Can I read this one from the German who goes by Fiago? This was the guy who was on CNN, by the way. But
Okay.
earlier he wrote a tweet. He said, "All the jokes aside, Americans are actually some of the friendliest and most welcoming folks I've ever met." Then he names a few places that we just kind of skewered like 10 minutes ago, by the way. I did.
Yeah.
He said, "Been to Miami, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Chicago now, and everywhere I meet amazing people.
Yeah.
100 times friendlier than the grumpy Germans at home." He said.
yeah.
Maybe he's pandering a little bit. I don't know, but that says something.
But it does say something, and like if you want to celebrate an absolutely beautiful Christmas, you go to Germany because they have this tradition of celebrating the Christmas market and the they'll go out in the forest and drink mulled wine or whatever they do. There's beautiful things about Germany, but one of the beautiful things about Americans is we're generally like in Europe. One of the things people say to you as an American when they're kind of teasing you is, "Have a nice day." Like they love to say "Have a nice day" because they know that is the cliche American goes, "Have a nice day." So I find
Europeans making fun of Americans. Manners.
that, yeah. Well, it's just kind of funny though, like that when you think about it. It is a funny thing to say, like "Have a nice day."
It is.
So
And as an American visiting Europe, you're like, hey, you too, man. See you.
yeah, we're all like, "Yeah, thanks."
Thanks,
You
man.
Okay, so let me just read the end of the story. But travelers agree on one. This is the New York Times writing about America. How often have you seen the New York Times really celebrating America? This is like,
I think it's been about 60 years since that happened. Right?
yeah, I think maybe
they
the
had
end
to-
of the Second World War. Maybe was the last time we.
They
like,
had to get permission from Europe to do it.
like
Apparently.
yeah, that's right. I think that's right, Thomas. But I love this ending. But travelers agree on one thing. Everyone's just so nice, Bell said. Almost all had been invited to drinks or given tips for what to see next. Alexander highlighted people in New York who had helped him figure out the subway, and people in Boston who had talked him through baseball's rules.
Yes.
The biggest takeaway for us is the kindness and generosity of people, he said. I've probably had at least 30, 40 people invite me back to their homes. I would bet out of those 30 and 40, a very low percentage is serial killers. I mean, we do have that. We have that problem here in America. But I think it's lovely.
70s.
I think it's lovely, but I will tell you this. I think, and I mentioned this to you, Thomas, when we were talking about it before. I think there is a lesson here about rash judgment. And this is something the church has warned us against again and again and again. Rash judgment is a very serious sin. And I think when we watch the TV and we think we know those people, we're almost always guilty of the sin of rash judgment. Mm-hmm. That we just need to look at it and go, I don't know those people. I don't know why they're doing what. I don't know why that they are the way they are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. I don't know. We've got to get out of this mindset of because we see a 5-minute video, a report on PBS about Croatia, that now I know Croatians. Mm-hmm. PBS probably doesn't even like Croatians. They don't like anybody nice. I think we got to be more alert to how we are programmed to make rash judgments in a soundbite world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's one thing that is exacerbated by social media, which is why it's almost kind of poetic that it's being undone by social media at the same time. Much of what these folks probably thought was bad about America was probably being fed to them by their algorithms a lot. Not just the mainstream media news,
right.
but outrage gets you farther on social media than almost anything else. I had that qualifier because now with all these World Cup travelers coming to America and seeing how awesome it is, that's getting farther than any outrage usually has. This guy Freddie that we talked about, this German guy Freddie, was just documenting his trip across the U.S. like nothing else, and now he's getting like free tickets from Houston sports games. He's getting like merch dumps every single place he goes. He's getting put up in fancy hotels and everything, and it's just
Freddie
because,
won.
Yeah, Freddie.
If
Freddie
you want
won.
to know the winner of the World Cup, it was Freddie.
He really did.
Yeah.
He really did. And that, but to bring it back around to the original point. It's almost a redemption of what social media was doing before in perpetuating these rash judgments, and now it's we're almost kind of undoing the damage. I would love to see it stay this way. This is why I said it's my favorite thing of the last 2 weeks, because usually the online world is nothing but negativity, and now it's fixing itself a little bit. Nature's healing for just a little bit.
Can I say? I think
good.
I think that's one really big redemptive quality that the World Cup has done over the last who knows how many years, that it allows people to go to different countries. You're competing, but you actually get to experience the real people on the ground. My friend Junior, who was also the best man in my wedding, he went. He's all here in California for some of the games, but he was actually in Russia for the World Cup a few years ago too, and same experience. Like, man, all these Russians are really nice. They're great. All they want to do is offer you vodka. It's like, but it goes to show you that
that's all they've got. So.
when you actually meet people face to face,
it's different.
It's completely different.
It's just different,
Yeah.
and I think you can't stress that enough in line. And among us Catholics, I think you can easily fall into it, because I do hear people. We go into our camp and they'll be like, "Oh, that's the Church of Nice," like they start dismissing the Church of Nice, and we speak polemically about one another, and a lot of the people who are in what you would deride as the Church of Nice are really good Christian people. They may not have been catechized the way you were catechized. They didn't get what, but like I have an actual person that I try to keep in mind when anyone goes liberal Catholics, that they're cafeteria Catholics, or they say these things. I know this woman that I've known since I was very young, and she's like, women should be priests, and low liturgy, and she checks off all the boxes for what the internet people, the internet Catholic police are always saying,
Grousing about.
Yeah. But I have been in her presence where she was heroically charitable. Like in situations where I didn't have courage to be charitable, I've seen her do that. So I know there's this incredible charitable heart in this person, and there's nobody has a charitable heart except Jesus gives it to him.
Wait a minute. You can disagree with people and still be kind to them and recognize their redemptive qualities. This is the thing.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Yeah, I know it's weird, huh? Yeah. But I try to keep her in my mind whenever someone's trying to like talk me through the categories of Catholics.
Yeah.
Like, this kind of Catholic. I'm just so sick of this kind of Catholic.
Yes.
This. I think I have seen this woman physically risk her physical safety out of charity for another person. Not once, not twice, but many times. This is a person who embraced poverty for a period in her life to serve other people. And I go, yeah, she's wrong on abortion. She's wrong on women priests. She's right. But there is a charitable heart in her that I would be frightened to face Jesus and go, man, she was a cafeteria Catholic. If you want to know the truth, Jesus, like
I'm reminded of the quote from Soren Kierkegaard where he said, "Once you label me, you negate me," because
I've always thought of you as a Kierkegaardian.
Of course, and I Thanos snap fade into mist as you say that, right?
Yeah.
I do need to read a lot more Kierkegaard actually, but
we all do, Thomas. We all do.
The question is, who's Kierkegaard?
Even he didn't know.
he was a philosopher. There he goes. But to your point, like the reason I thought of that is because you keep saying like you can lose the picture in your mind of a real person when you start talking about these labels, when you start talking about these darn left cats, these darn mad trads and everything like that.
Right.
It's so much easier to say things 10 times worse about a label rather than about a human. So it's a good practice that you have to keep in mind someone whose face you actually see. Because once you see a human's real face, a lot of that impulse to be nasty just melts away, and suddenly you feel uncomfortable that you were ever saying something about that. And that gets to Edgar's point about how, like, when you're meeting the real people on the ground, you can't help but have your presuppositions shaken a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I think it was, what was his name? The American humorist, Will, I can't remember. Somebody online tell me, because he used to say, I never met a man I didn't like. And what he was, I think what was under that was that exact thing, which is if you meet the person, you'll find something in them that you like. Now, I'm not like him. I've met a lot of people I don't like. But I've come to like you.
That's good. Goes both ways.
Only took 5 years.
Goes both ways, yes. Yeah. But so I don't believe that I've never met a man I didn't like thing. I think that's facile in some ways. I think there are people who are quite consumed with evil, but that doesn't mean we don't love that person. But it's pretty hard to like that. But the person always exceeds the category, and that's what that Kierkegaard thinks is that if you reduce the person to the category, then I think you have really committed a sin against God, who is the creator, who presented you with a living reality that he wanted you to deal with. He did not want you to put up you fit into this box, go over there. We don't want you at our conference or whatever, And
the reason it's tempting is because it's easy. Our minds want to categorize things. It's how we make sense of the world, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy to
that's right. That's true.
It's easy to not expend a lot of mental energy on someone when you can just say, okay, you say that because you think this, so I can box all these presuppositions around your ideas and
we categorize ourselves
over
too,
there, right?
We describe ourselves in terms of, well, this is how I vote politically. This is this is what I like. This is what I dislike. It's how it all goes around. I want to read a comment by Bex 2046. She said, "Well, there's Duck Dynasty hillbillies." And then Wrong Turn hillbillies, because she's talking.
What does that mean? Wrong Turn, like the movie Wrong Turn. Yeah, where they're gonna. Yes, you're in trouble now.
Yeah.
Well, that's true of everything, though. There's Duck Dynasty New Yorkers and Wrong Turn New Yorkers. There's. I think we've all had the experience of, walking down a street and seeing the person who is frightening, and in some cases, that person goes, "Hey, how you doing?" And then we've all also had the experience
people usually just stop looking at me whenever they
because you're frightening. Yeah,
Edgar's never seen someone more frightening.
So, like Edgar sees that and he goes, "You're almost as frightening as me." But we've also had the other experience though, where we thought, someone was nice and they turned out to be really, 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 really.
Isn't that the situation of like famous people? A lot of, I mean, I remember.
You're talking about Mel Gibson now, aren't you?
I'm not talking.
You're
about
talking about Mel Gibson.
Just because he said
play
hello
it, Johnny.
to you.
play Mel Gibson. Play the Mel Gibson.
I don't know
clip,
if we
Johnny.
have it.
Johnny.
No, but it was one of those moral of the story shows from like the 90s that I remember watching. Like, what is it? Oh gosh, now I'm blanking. I don't know, like Family Matters and Boy Meets World.
Oh, yeah.
There's like in all of those shows, there was always an episode where they meet this famous celebrity that they thought were the greatest thing ever, and they turns out they're a jerk and a horrible human being.
Oh, really? That's 80s television?
That's 90s
Oh,
television.
90s television.
90s
Oh,
television.
yeah. I wasn't watching television then.
Sorry.
Don't say, oh, no, you can't do this. Okay, no paycheck. No paycheck then. You can't go like this. Mel Gibson or you're getting your pay dog.
Got one job.
That's it. Mel Gibson or getting...
Got one job. It's Mel Gibson.
I'll tell you the reason I mentioned Mel. I thought he was talking about Mel.
Oh,
Gibson.
your friend Mel?
My friend. Because Mel Gibson gets he gets a lot of bad press in a lot of ways, and I thought he was one of the most gracious. Like the one time that I talked to him for 5 minutes, I thought he was one of the most gracious people, and he showed signs of being genuinely gracious, not just like Hollywood gracious, but it felt. Genuinely gracious on his part.
Did you ever watch that video clip that went around? I think it was after all the chaos surrounding him, but some guy had a flat tire, and and a guy came out to help him change his tire. The guy pulls his phone now and starts recording him because he realizes it's Mel Gibson, and he was like, "Oh, it's
That's so good.
What's it? Braveheart." He's like, "It's Braveheart." And he's like some.
Well, first of all, if it's Braveheart, don't trust him. Like that guy is tricky. Don't trust Braveheart.
Hey, there it is.
Found him.
Oh my gosh, Johnny! You had to threaten his pay.
Don't trust him.
One more time.
One more time.
Hi, Si.
There it is.
Hi, Mel.
That's Mel Gibson. Yeah. You know what? I wanted to interact with the YouTube today. It's just terrible. You guys are doing an awful job. I don't want to drive you all the way, but what are we doing there? I haven't. Where's my? That was a good comment on the wrong turn hillbillies. But
Chris Steros today says, "What a friendly New Yorker," or "What a friendly Chicagoan," said no one ever.
Until now, that's the crazy thing, right? Yeah. That's why this is such a news story.
Will Rogers, thank you, Mark. That's who said I never met a man I didn't like. I get the sentiment. I don't think I couldn't say that it's true in my case, but I get the sentiment. Let's see. What do we got here? Somebody better come up with something good. I'm trying.
Well, can I say maybe to put a bow on this conversation? Just as fun as the foreigners coming to America and finding it awesome has been us seeing foreigners come to America and see how awesome they are. And I'm specifically talking about the Tartan Army. I'm talking about the Scottish.
Oh, people love the Scottish.
The Scots taking over Boston has been...
Welcome to America, Scots.
Wait a minute.
The Scots taking over Boston has been like my favorite sub-story of this story.
The Scots took over Little Ireland, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much, yes. Okay, but you joke, but okay. They like drank out all the bars in downtown Boston, and one bar owner literally said they like tripled their St. Patrick's Day sales or something.
So
like
the
that.
Irish are like pikers compared to the Scottish.
They're plane
I'll
flights.
show you how to drink beer.
They're plane flights.
Do a Scottish accent. I can't.
Their plane flights were learning out a beer on the way over. That's the best I can do. You have to sound really angry. But
it wasn't that
It
good.
wasn't that good, was it? Because it's been
it
10
wasn't.
years since I went to Scotland.
But the audio did peak there, so there's a little bit of distortion, so it sounds about right.
But their plane flights were running out of beer as they came over. One story.
Really?
One story
That's
from
not good.
No, but I mean they landed safely, thank God. They were taken to. They took over Fenway Park. They took over a Boston Red Sox game while they were there. They played the Pretender song 500 Miles between innings, and for like a full 2 minutes after the song stopped playing, while play was going on, they wouldn't stop.
But that's how they. I think that's how they do it in Europe.
That is how they do
during
it
the game. Yeah.
That is how they do it. They brought this. I never thought I'd say this in my life, but they brought this soccer fan energy, which is awesome,
To baseball.
which I can't believe I'm saying that, but the Scots have sold me on it. So it's just as great to see the cultural exchange go the other way.
Yeah, that is great. And I have to say this for European men. I will say this for European men. They are more macho than American men in one way. They may be more macho than American men in many other ways that I don't know about. But there's one obvious way that European men are more manly than American men. They sing in public. They get together as a group, walking down the street, clearly out of their minds drunk, but they're singing. Like I think that's a great sign for a civilization. That gives me a great deal of hope for Europe. Like American men, you cannot get us to sing.
We lost
You
it.
just can't get us to sing.
According to American men, it's a feminine thing to do is to sing.
No, singing is masculine. That's
You
a
gotta
get out
see
there
those
and
Scots,
clear
dude.
those lungs. Like they're awesome.
This is what the Tartan Army can teach us.
I
I'm
would like to
sorry,
read-
Pinot with
Oh,
Pio.
I was about to read
I'm
that.
sorry.
Wait.
I didn't have time to warm up. It's been 10 years since I went to Scotland, and
Wait,
I had trouble
two
understanding
comments,
what they said.
Two comments from Pinot with Pio. That accent was really bad. Followed by this comment. Really, really bad.
I have never
we get it.
claimed to do Scottish well. That's my defense.
Stepping into grace. I dated a Scottish man when I lived in Switzerland in my early 20s. When I couldn't understand them. I couldn't understand. See,
She spelled it Cuny.
I couldn't understand
Can you
them.
understand him?
Sai, sing. Okay, sing right now. Sing, sing, sing. I got nothing. I can't do it. I'm an
Boston
American.
Red Sox.
I can't.
Boston Red Sox. What's the
Boston-
song they always sing?
Oh yeah. What is it? Not Sweet George Brown.
Oh, come on.
Wait, don't tell me. That's Sweet George Brown. Wasn't that the Harlem Globetrotters? Don't tell me. Sweet
Diamond.
Caroline.
Ba, ba, ba.
Good times never felt so
Good.
So good.
Are we Scottish? Are we good enough to be Scottish?
Really?
I need some Scottish people to tell me if that was good enough to
Sing
be
the pretender
Scottish.
song. I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more.
All those songs I learned in Steubenville, Ohio. That was such a cultural shock for me. I didn't know those things were a thing. And then I stood on a bench at the Hofbrauhaus in Germany and got to sing all those songs. It
Yep.
was wonderful.
What does that
Yep.
mean, Hofbrauhaus in Germany?
Sorry, Hofbrauhaus in Pittsburgh. I also went to the Hofbrauhaus in
That
Germany.
geographically got really weird there for a
Pittsburgh,
minute.
known as Little Germany.
Yeah,
Oh, so they
literally.
sing at the Hofbrauhaus.
Yeah, they do.
See, Pittsburgh men are real men. That's
All right.
why.
That happened at TAC too. Any gathering of 3 or more guys at TAC was always in great danger of breaking into Irish folk songs for whatever reason.
Could I let me read a couple comments and then I'm going to laud one other culture that has made itself. It has covered itself in glory thus far. Our dog is named. This is from Jersey Girl 871. Our dog is named after Saint Bellarmine. That's Robert Bellarmine. And we sing "Sweet Bellarmine." It must be mine. They must say Bellarmine. Sweet Bellarmine.
Ba, ba, ba.
Okay.
That's cute.
Shellback bow. But my thing went. Okay, but the Japanese fans make special chats for each individual player and chant and bring drums.
Mm-hmm.
Good for the Japanese. I don't think I'm ever going to enjoy football. Like I don't think football.
It's actually soccer. If the Pope said
It
soccer,
is.
it's officially soccer.
It is actually
that's
soccer.
been he
Yeah.
baptized it.
He
It's
baptized
the word
it.
soccer.
Yep.
He gave the most tepid encouragement to the American team. They were like, which team are you going to root for? And he goes, well, I'll root for the American team. And then I don't know how many games I'll get to watch, but I wish them well. I was like, I wish them well? That's like the worst sports fan. Like he doesn't care about it. He clearly doesn't care.
No, Sai, he did care because that was before he sent
I
out
wish
the
them well.
soccer tweet. The soccer
yeah.
tweet was what got it all back. I see you, Pope Leo. That's what you really think.
But this is okay. So here, I'll tell you what. What culture am I? You guess, internet, YouTubers. What culture am I about to describe as having covered themselves in glory? The Scots did it. One German guy, Freddie, did it. Did we say anybody else that covered themselves in glory so far?
Japanese.
We mentioned the Japanese. We haven't gone into detail. One of my favorite clips has been a Japanese tourist in Dallas, and they're just asking them, like, what do you guys think of Texas? Like, Texas is good. Everything is big. That's all he said.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's so are you guys going to guess? We'll see if any guesses come.
bit of a
'cause
delay.
Can I tell you one of my favorite videos I've seen of the World Cup? I don't really watch the World Cup, but there was a reaction.
it's football.
It's soccer because the Pope said so. But there was a reaction of every goal from a game between Japan and I forgot which other team. But whenever a goal is scored against Japan, the Japanese coach is just stoic, not reacting. And when they score a goal, he's like,
At least you got that going.
Yeah.
That great.
Jersey
Yeah.
Girl says we actually erroneously called her Bellarmine, but we realized we were mispronouncing her name too late, so it stuck. Actually, Bellarmino is his real name, so Bellarmine would be. You just took the O off. You were probably pronouncing it better than I was. I remember something about some Jewish guy having all glory and honor. Oh, so you don't think that cultures can cover themselves in glory? Just one in Webster? Because what is the nature of the good, Thomas?
It
It is to diffuse itself.
it diffuses itself amongst various forms. That's right.
So
Man,
if
you're like really smart.
the glory of
Man, I
Jesus, the glory of Jesus is that he diffuses his glory into those who love him and follow him.
Even
So-
the Scots.
See, apparently, especially the Scots, they drank an airplane dry on the way over. So apparently, this is the culture I was going to say covered itself in glory. The Japanese,
Yes.
because what do they do after the game is over?
They picked up the trash.
They pick up the trash.
No
They
way.
did.
God bless them, the Japanese. I think that's beautiful. They pick up the trash.
What did the Scots do?
I don't want
Moving
to. I don't
on.
want to take away from the Japanese,
No,
but I
they-
had a very good answer to that.
No, the Scots, they pick up the other Scots, is what they do. Somebody needs to carry them out.
You know what they did do? One,
Are you the designated carrier? Are you going to carry me out?
That was better
after
than
this?
mine. You know what they did do? Last thing, the great video I just saw today. They were like at the statue of Samuel Adams in Boston at like 2 a.m, and they were trying to throw a traffic cone on top of his head because that's just a thing they do in Scotland apparently. And they kept trying to throw it and they couldn't get it high enough, so one guy just climbed up there and put it on, and they all went ah.
On which Adams did they do this?
Sam Adams,
Okay,
Samuel
so
Adams.
that's okay. If it was
whoever
John,
it is.
I'd have to fight you, Scott. I would have to fight you if it was John Adams. But all right, Samuel
Some
Adams.
lore
think
I don't know.
Samuel Adams would appreciate that. He was a rough tough. He was the OG. Sam Adams. He was the OG.
They named a beer after him. I guess that's why they like him.
Yeah. I don't really like Sam Adams beer though. But I like. All right, we'll do
Yeah,
our
Boston Lager's good.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
We'll do our favorite beers before we go, but we got to go because I got to go put a regular shirt on for the show. They have about as much pull as Rhode Island. What is that? Oh, Alaska. All right, so they were arguing about. I'm regretting that one in my YT name.
YouTube name.
Oh, just one.
That was the
in
guy whose name
Webster.
you just deliberately butchered for no reason.
I didn't mean it. Wasn't deliberate. I wasn't trying to. I wasn't
It's-
deliberately.
So, rash judgment on my part. Sai, my apologies.
Yes, let's all get over our rash judgments about others. Let's live in
Like how Sai can't read.
I'm going to confess my rash judgment. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm in the fast lane on the highway going over this hill to get home, and someone else is in the fast lane going the speed limit, I believe that person has sold their soul to the devil.
Mm-hmm.
I am immediately filled with rage and disgust at this person.
Let the Europeans with ears let them hear. Okay,
That's
the
one of my
Americans.
favorites. It's one of my favorite things about Germany is
The Autobahn?
They get out of your way. Like, why can Americans not get out of each other's way? What's wrong with you, America? The Germans, like, somebody's coming up fast behind you. You should get over for a second.
This is very much a San Diego phenomenon, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Is-
I drove up to New Hampshire, and let me tell you something about New York drivers, New Jersey drivers, Connecticut drivers. They are absolutely insane.
They are?
Yes, on the road, absolutely. They zip through. It doesn't matter which lane you're in. They'll just go around you, even if it's on the shoulder. That's a thing, apparently.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Big Sack wants to know, am I the only person who doesn't watch the news? Let's take a vote. I say yes.
Yeah,
I
I
vote
think
yes.
so.
He is the
Yeah.
only person.
Which
I don't watch-
honestly, Big Stack, it's probably the healthiest among us.
yeah,
ever.
that shows probably the greatest mental health we've seen on
Big Stack
YouTube.
does nothing but watch Catholic Answers. That's about as healthy as it can get, I
There you
think.
go.
All right, favorite beers before we go. Oof.
Do I have to pick one?
Mine used to be a Negro Modelo, but I
How fancy do you want me to get? That's the
no,
question.
anything, any beer. You do your favorite beer, and
All right.
and YouTube, you could do your favorite beer because we got to cut off a little early today. So.
Rockford Trappist. Yep.
Oh my god!
Like the monks?
Yeah, the Trappist
Hold
beer.
your pinky up when you say that.
Oh, let me drink my
I'm so
protein
fancy.
shake with
I've
the,
been to Europe, you know. And
I got this in America,
Rockford
too.
Trappist is my favorite beer.
Catholic beer is the best beer. So made by
You know
the
what they would
Trappist
call you?
monks of
You know what the
Europe.
Scots would call
all
you?
beer.
You know what the Scots would call you? I learned this word. Posh. Oh, posh. Oh, you think you're posh, huh? You're posh. All right, your favorite beer. Go ahead.
I can't pick one. But you know what I really like is a Stone Buenaveza, the local Stone
nice.
Brewery one, a nice salt and lime lager.
I thought you guys were just gonna name a beer. I didn't know we were gonna. This is
Are you
the
These are
weirdest-
beer snobs you're
Are you,
talking
do
to,
you guys
man.
make these beers? Like,
I'm sorry. Did you want a
Size
name of a beer or just
size
like?
I like Bush Light. It's good old fashioned Bush Light.
Did you want me to just?
well, I do like Busch Light, but it has to be very, very, very cold. You guys drink it very, very, very cold. But but by the way, I can't. I'm not a good alcohol drinker, but I'm trying to learn to drink beer, and I have found that I like it really, really cold. Like if you get it so that it's virtually ice, then it's better. But Pacifico,
Yeah,
I love
Pacifico's
Pacifico.
really
It's
good.
wonderful.
very reliable.
That's becoming my favorite Mexican beer over
I
Modelo.
love all Mexican beers. Like
Whoa,
I honestly think that we don't talk about enough how good the Mexicans are at making beer. Like I think America's favorite beer now is a Mexican beer, isn't Corona?
After the whole situation
The Bud Light
with
thing?
Bud Light, Modelo became the #1 selling beer in America.
Modelo did.
Modelo did, yeah.
Well, Modelo's really good.
Bud Light had to shoot themselves in the foot a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah,
it did
that's
happen.
true.
Yeah, now they hired that guy Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis.
That all the boys like.
And-
All the young
and,
boys like him. So they were like,
They
"Well,
really tried."
I bet Shane Gillis is making $1 billion just trying to bring Bud Light back
Yep.
from the dead.
Who's
Like
that?
they said, who's the guy we should get? And somebody said Shane Gillis, and then
Two people.
Shane Gillis's agent went, "We're gonna need $1 billion. Like we'll bring you back from the dead." But because there's probably only one guy in America.
There's two of them.
Who's the other guy?
Post Malone?
Oh, Post Malone could do
Post
it.
Malone.
For some reason.
Yeah, Post Malone and Shane Gillis are now the face of Bud Light.
I feel so happy for Shane Gillis because I mean I don't really know anything about Shane Gillis, but I feel like this is one of those people like you are the right guy at the right time. There is nobody else who could bring Bud Light back. They've just got to be
done it.
backing up Brinks trucks to his house. Like how much money is he making?
I don't know.
Because you know that
We'll see if it works.
That business is worth billions
Yep.
of dollars. So Shane Gillis, if you're making less than $20 million from this Bud Light thing, you're an idiot. You should have talked to me before you signed. You're an idiot. If
he
you're
just
making
wants
less
some
than-
Bud Light off.
and you should be sending some
And
of that here.
And also, I love
Yeah.
Bud Light.
Some of that.
But it's got to be really, really cold.
Pino with Pio says, Sai is a Bush Latte guy. Shellback Bow, any Dunkel or brown ale will win me over. Speaking my language. I love that. Absolutely.
Are those people? What's a dunkel and a brown ale?
a dunkel is
is
a
that
dark-
racism? Was that? what
That's
is
why
that?
I like it. So no.
Sai started
Dunkel-
a beer conversation, and then every time you name a beer, he's like, "Nerd."
Because I don't.
What are we doing
Because I'm
here?
a novice beer drinker. All right, that'll do it. Thank you, Thomas the TikTok Engine.
My pleasure.
Edgar Lujano, assistant to the host. Thank you very much. And I'm Cy Kellett. We'll see you. Tom Nash, first hour. Tim Staples, second hour. And we're going to do stuff. We'll see you then on Catholic Answers Live.